I grew up in a small town. My mother and father probably had at best an 8th grade education. And I was fortunate enough to be pushed and directed and see what happens to a person who gathers the educational background and who has educational opportunities. You can change your life, and you can change the lives of thousands of people.
Jonesboro was a typical small southern paper mill town. They have the distinction of being listed in the Guinness Book of World Records at one time for having the longest running unbroken sidewalk in the world. Randy's father died when he was 9, and he was the youngest of 5 and was the only child left at home for most of the remainder of his time growing up. And so he assumed a lot of responsibility early on and learned the value of hard work. And I think those leadership activities that he had in high school sort of reinforced a lot of personal discipline, taught him a lot about communication and the value of having a team and working with a team, which has certainly served him well. Everybody knew Randy because he was involved in lots of things, and so I knew him. But when he was a senior, I was a sophomore, and those two groups didn't hang out together very much.
Barbara and I did go to the same high school, but she likes to remind people that I'm older than she is. So I graduated a little before her. I do think I asked her out one time in high school, and my memory is she probably turned me down, but she denies that. Later in life, actually, she was finishing a bachelor's degree and I was finishing a master's, and by coincidence, through a mutual friend, we kind of reconnected, and I asked her out again, and she was foolish enough to go that time. And that was around Easter. We got engaged in July and we got married in November, and that's 41 years ago. And frankly, that was probably the luckiest thing that ever happened to me.
When he finished graduate school, Northwestern offered him a position there.
When I went to work at Northwestern, I was actually asked to start an office that didn't exist. So I started literally from scratch, me, a desk, and maybe 2 pens. And that office was then called High School Relations. It's now become a part of admissions. And I think over a period of 5 years, we accomplished a great deal. We went from really no materials and supplies and no real approach to developing a lot more sophistication in how we approach recruiting of students. I really enjoyed that experience. Coming to Southeastern was a blessing, and I really think very fortunate for me and for Barbara. I thought I would be at Southeastern 3, maybe 4 years. That was the plan that Barbara and I had when we came, and stayed 32 years.
Randy had goals for every position he went into, and I think he managed to achieve them most of the time. I guess probably the thing that stands out, probably when he was selected as the president at Southeastern, was I think a significant event. 2001 was a very challenging year. We had 3 graduations, a wedding, and 3 funerals, all in that year. And you know, so some were very happy events and some were not. And he lost his sister and his mother during the time that they were doing the search for the president, and he was involved with interviews. And I think the fact that he was able to manage, hold it all together was, to me, that was pretty significant.
Becoming president was a joyous moment in my life, and at the same time, I think it was a humbling moment, because suddenly you realize that you had a great deal of responsibility for a lot of people. You don't have absolute control over everything that goes on, even though people think that you do, and that the future of a lot of people, your employees and your students, depends on decisions that you and key leaders on campus and faculty members participate in. So it was maybe scary more than humbling. I had just been appointed as interim president in 2001 and 9/11 occurred. And it was, for everybody in this country, and I think in the world, I don't think you'll ever forget the day, or where you were on the day of 9/11. But people were frightened, there was an uncertainty, there was a fear. Working through that, helping the campus, even though we weren't affected directly as Americans, we were affected. And I think creating a calmness and being involved in that certainly is something I remember. And then the Katrina storm itself and post-Katrina. So the storm did not do significant damage to our campus. And for that reason, though, we became a major staging area for everybody from the National Guard to police and other support personnel from as far away as Chicago and Louisville. We were literally down for at least 2 weeks. We reopened. We lost 2,000 of our students who transferred or moved, and we brought in 3,000 or so visiting students from UNO, universities in the New Orleans area, etc. I think it proved to our campus and our faculty and our staff that in spite of adversity, you can do the right thing in the right time and in the right way. My greatest pride is the fact that when I came to Southeastern, and for many, many years, it was just this little university that existed over here in the corner of the state. Population shifts, enrollment shifts really changed the university. And I think one of the things that a lot of people like myself that were here believed is that we needed to promote the university and we needed to talk about why not Southeastern when it came to certain projects and activities. And I think that has come to fruition, and I'd like to believe I had a small part in some of that. You're only as good as the people on your team. And I have been very, very fortunate over the years to have good people. And good people make good things happen. When I made the decision to apply for the system head position, I think I did have an understanding, if you will, from interactions professionally over the years of what the board did and what the staff did. And I don't think there were a lot of surprises for me, but I think probably 2 or 3 things stand out. I didn't realize how hard the staff at the system office works. They have peaks and lows just like you do on the campus. But it wasn't so much how hard they work, it's the passion that they have towards their work in terms of the importance of the 8 and now 9 universities and how much they want those campuses to succeed and accomplish the things that they're doing in educating our students in the UL system. And then the board. I didn't really truly realize how dedicated the members of the board are to the universities and the students and the faculty and staff. They take their jobs very seriously. I mean, they're board jobs. Many of them have professional roles and activities. But in addition to that passion that they bring and care about the universities, I have watched the board members as we've gone through some very difficult financial times, and we've gone through things like selecting campus presidents, which is a very important decision, and I think the board will tell you they believe selecting a campus president is the most important decision they make, and I'd have to agree with them. I'm a graduate of Louisiana Tech and a graduate of Northwestern, and during my 4 years as assistant president, I've had the opportunity to do the commencement speech at both those universities. And truly, as an undergraduate and a graduate student, I never envisioned I'd give a commencement speech at any university. But to be able to go back to 2 places that you've earned degrees from and deliver the commencement address, I think those are 2 very prideful moments for me. A small boy growing up in Jonesboro, I thought if I ever got to be a coach, I'd be lucky. And, to get to be a college president or assistant president or vice president was beyond my belief at any time. So from that standpoint, I'm very pleased and happy and fortunate that I was maybe at the right place at the right time. From a career standpoint or personal goals, I think probably I wish I could have done a better job in the last 4 years of convincing people in decision-making roles in state government how important higher education is. We've battled against some very difficult financial times. If I have a disappointment, it's that we're still battling.
Randy's never satisfied with, as long as he thinks things need to be done. In fact, I think we had that conversation earlier today. Are you ever satisfied with the status quo? And probably the answer to that is he's always going to be striving to do one more thing. He will never lose his concern about higher ed or education in general, for that matter, because that's been his whole life.
Without Barbara, I probably wouldn't be where I am today and had some of the success that I've had. When I was fortunate enough to be selected as president, I said that there are red letter days in your life. One of those was being selected as president of Southeastern. But a truly red letter day in my life is when Barbara married me. Barbara is a consummate professional and in her own right. I envy her great skills as a teacher and an administrator. But from a personal standpoint, I think what Barbara does most for me is she supports me. But she guides me. She has the ability to humble me on occasion and get me back focused and looking at things from a perspective that maybe is not so much what's happening to me, but what's happening to other people. So I think she's like a compass for me in life. She's a great mother. And I think if you have somebody in your life like that, you treasure every moment. I like to think we're good friends. We differ occasionally. But I think that anything good that's happened in my life in the last 40+ years, Barbara's played a real important part in that. I would like most people to hear and believe is that I've enjoyed every minute. It's been a great ride. And whether that was an experience way back when I first taught high school all the way till now. I really want to thank the Board of Supervisors for their support. And I would just say that it's been a great experience, and I'm fortunate to have had a lot of good people along for the ride.